It's the fourth round here of the Le Mans Ultimate Air 1 Championship yet in Sim Sport. After what's been a very exciting 3 rounds here thus far, we return over to Algarve, one of the best neo-modern tracks that has been produced this far of the millennium, and it's going to be very difficult in terms of elevation for these drivers. I'm Amir Oates, and thank you all for tuning in. It's been a long while, but I only have a broadcast director, so I'll be broadcasting directing this along with streaming here. Just about 5 minutes left to go here from practice. Qualifying is going to begin fairly shortly, after which we'll have a very exciting race ahead for us here at the Le Mans Series. Currently as it stands, Kevin de Pedersen holds on to the fastest lap in time for qualifying very soon. Very good, I believe it to be a debut here in the hypercar class, but Ward himself, very impressive second for him. He holds on to the championship leader as it stands, having the lowest place that he's finished actually was second in races 1 and race 3, and cultivated that with his first race win of the season back in race 2, so he's going to hope to add a bit more of that into his collection here. One of the highest placed totals over here in Waters has been a bit out of it, but he'll try and anchor into it. He has actually debuted just last race. He's finished back in 6th position as the was actually on the calendar as it stands. But Eggers has also done very good. Don't forget to mention it's right 2 and 4, so it's fairly strong as it stands. But with the Alpine also in the head, it's going to be pretty hard to see if anyone can displace Peterson with a 110 here provisionally. Looking into qualifying. Down there, further back onto the field as we see Luis and Tiger and Rantzau is so for the hypercar field. Hader is the one that holds onto the lead here in the timing sheets in Alexis. Looking very strong so far. Has been very hard to displace in 6/10 faster than the car behind in Webb here during the very short 30-minute practice that we have. It looks to be even going quicker with the purple in the first sector. So that's going to be all very interesting. Have a bit of latency issues if that doesn't happen. My end. But Hader's been very good. Wins all round throughout the first 3 races, so he's going to try looking to make it 4 in a row to hold on to that lead. In fact, he's nearly 60 points ahead of the guy over in second, Ed Ward. So, himself added 7, so he seems to be very struggling here. He's still trying to look for his first win. The best finish that he's ever gone was second as it stood. And Kevin Rivera, his best place finish has been 3rd, and being in 4th is a pretty good sign that things might go for his way today. But look at this Let's here in 2nd. It's pushed between Webb and Rivera. He's over in 2nd, and it's going to be interesting. BMW holds to the first, the 2nd and 3rd as it stands there on the timing sheets, leading up to qualifying with Mascara. So BMW outside of the podium as it stands for now. Schofield is one of the last ones there, along with Willow and Meyer. Just about 9 seconds left to go before we have a very exciting qualified session among us, and it's all going to come downhill. Tier 1 Phoenix Le Mans Series. Very interesting to see how these drivers will navigate through Algarve. The amount of blinding elevation is going to make hypercars notoriously very difficult in order to lap the GT3s ahead, but also keep in mind that the GT3s not only need to be wary about the hypercars, but not only by being that, but also need to worry about the cars around them. It's going to be one of Cater's hardest challenges. He's going to hope to try and make 4 wins in a row, and I think we can probably see that slowly come into effect here during the practice session, as you see Ward overtaking Webb through this very, very tight hairpin. One thing, best overtaking places on the track. It has to be very slow and make sure you get the apex nice early. Just about under 30 seconds left to go, and then the checker fire will drop, and then we're soon going to start through our first or only qualified session here, as we see Webb spins around too too easy on the accelerator, not quite patient enough, and that will be his day done with 9 seconds left to go. See how everyone else is doing. It's going to be something 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Qualifying is well and truly done. So Rivera is going to be the first ones to cross over through the finish line, upon which Cater will also be the next. He heads into the pits simply and following along behind him. As Weissenberg, he's going to try to finish his. Ward, the man to beat in the hypercar class, will slowly head into the pits to end his pretty good practice session. 6/10 faster than to Peterson, so Peterson has been displaced by Ward, so it's going to be all good to show it's here for Ferrari, and for that pushes down Negris outside the podium places as it stands. First and fourth lap for Ferrari as it stands, enters into the pits, all easy done. Peterson does into the pits. I think we're expecting Rasmus here coming up for the final corner. Taggart slowed down, so he's going to his, and then German coming up for the final corner in Aston Martin, which has notoriously been one of the more difficult hypercar cars to try to drive. So it's going to Aston has got a lot under his plate in order to continue on. I think we're seeing that's Rivera. He's still out as it stands, but Schoenfeld just recently crossed the line and promotes himself back up. Used to be down at the bottom, but he's now in 8th, so good improvement for him to get something in there. Still 2 seconds away from the leader, but it is still pretty hard to replicate that. Leclerc, Webb, and Scar, BMW's 2, 3, 4, so pretty good to show pace. In fact, Italia 2/10 off of Cater, so it's not as dire as it seemed earlier, with Cater being 6/10 off from second place, but it's still fairly comfortable in Cater's favor. But qualifying is, after all, making a break here as it stands, as we can see him escape into the pits. And that will be qualifying soon, ready to start. 25 minutes. It's gonna come through ahead. I think that was the Lamborghinis of Wooler. He's going to be the first of the Iron Dames Lamborghini GT3 to come out. All of the GT3s are actually going to be coming out. Can't see any hypercars as it stands, but here we go. So Wooler's going to be first, then Satmire, then Wart just behind, and Webb actually squeezed in between too. So there we go. The timer ticks down, and the 25 minutes begins now here at Algarve. Who will be able to take pole position here? It's going to be a very interesting terms of affairs, but it can really go in anyone's way. Let's say here, going through turn 2, have to brake really hard for 3. Just need to make sure you get very good on the accelerator. Don't be too early on it, otherwise you're going to need a counter spin. Uphill through 4, very blinding, but also full throttle. Use as much of the apex as he wants as he tries to weave around to make sure he can get the best use of the tires. Hard braking zone view of the VIP, it's going to be very difficult here. You're going to see a lot of drivers be able to maybe struggle there, maybe not even meet the corner, and eventually have to be a very big compromise because it's going to be a flat out corner through here. That means that exit coming out from the Heifer is going to be extremely important. Swings downhill and then it's going to swing a bit back uphill, as we can just see the already struggling with those car tires. And here's the uphill corner that we were talking about. Another blinder, just use a bit of the curb, and then it's going to swing right back down into a dramatic downhill, and then swings back uphill again through the left, and then it's going to be a double apex right coming up. A bit blind once again. He has to try and make sure early entry before a late apex. Exit out through here, another wide once you carry as much speed as possible, and then holding the inside line before breaking outside and then going back into the inside. Really, really difficult here as it approaches for the third sector. It's going to be one of the fastest sectors here on the track. It's going to be only a small braking zone coming through left, and then it's going to stretch out to really be able to push the pedal down to the floor as you can through the final corner. Hold it in as tight as you possibly can and get a really, really good exit here for the straight. And that will complete through the lap of Algarve. And Wooler will now soon start to make his first flying lap here. The first flying lap also for the GT3s as it stands. I'm gonna see here how he does because he's been struggling really hard.
Could you do us a favour? Would you mind turning the game down by 20% and make it up a little? Yep. Lovely. Thank you very much. Hello everyone on stream. Hope you're enjoying everything so far.
Better?
Hopefully so. I'll listen to it just a moment and then I'll leave.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Help. Yeah, big thanks to Maverick as well for helping me here out for the stream. And we're going to see here for Ruler if he's going to improve. It's 22.9, 22.7 from Cater, so the man to beat is 0.2 already faster than the man up in the lead. Scar 22.9.
Double your mic. Apologies. If you could double your mic volume for us.
Yep.
Right, let's see. Hopefully that works, everyone.
I'll see if that one works a bit better.
I think that's okay.
Okay, that's good.
Lovely. All right. So, GT3 qualifying. Who do you think's going to take pole here today? Amir, it's going to be quite an interesting battle, isn't it?
Man, it's hard to try to bet up against Keter for how fast he was, but he was just 0.2 off compared to, I think it was Letelier's. He managed to impress very late on, so he could be the man to beat Keter in for qualifying. We'll have to see here for Wooler, going to cross the line. What's going to be the first time we'll see on the timing sheet? 1:47.1, that's pretty good. But here we go, Webb responds 46.6, seeing the BMW's strong all-practice round. And in fact, Cater, I think, messed up through the final corner it is, and that has demoted him down to 47.1.
So, yeah, that's going to be tricky. Cater usually has a good handle on qualifying, but interestingly struggling a little bit here today. Do you reckon he's going to be able to pull it out, or is he stuck a little bit further down today, do you think?
I think he should be, because 1.3 seconds is quite hefty, so I must have imagined he must have made a mistake coming through the final sector, because he was about a second away from the provisional pole sitter in the BMW, but also with Rivera and Webb. So he has to be able to respond as we see someone gone off. I think that was Wooler. It was Wooler. And very, very difficult. Has to rejoin safely, and he does so, but that is really, really difficult in order to rejoin very safely, especially when it's so blind. And that's one of the characteristics that we see here at Portimao.
It is, isn't it? It's one of those tracks that it's just got such a flow to it, and a lot of blind apexes too. It's very easy to catch the drivers out, I think.
Absolutely. I think I was just discussing it before during practice on how Branley Cater with 3 race wins against his name definitely seemed like the man to beat, and well, he has shown that here during his practice sessions. So I'm not sure if the pressure's on him to make it 4 in a row, but the BMWs are definitely giving him a run for his money. But here we go, he responds immediately, a 1:44.8, and that is really, really good there from the Lexus driver.
Oh, what a lap time. That is absolutely phenomenal. Such pace. Ooh, fortunately, Ben has lost connection. Hopefully Ben can get back in time.
Oh dear, that's not very good, but I think he should be able to be fine here for the final qualifying minutes as it stands.
Hopefully. So.
I think the thing that does amaze me at most is looking for the percentage here. You can see with Rivera and Mascar, they're trying to suit theirs for qualifying, but correct me if I'm wrong, Maverick, but I think Cater and Letelier being on 89% means that they're effectively on race spec, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, they could have reduced how much actual fuel they're taking, so it is possible that the car is still very light. But yeah, it is also possible that they also are in their race spec. It is quite disconnected, so it's hard to tell from out here just from the percentage. But yeah, that may very well be something where something to take into consideration.
18 minutes left into qualifying. The more that these drivers race around the track, the better that the track conditions get. But the fact that Cater almost already at one point was 9/10 clear, he is it now, but he's still about 5/10 away from third place and 2/10 away from second place. He's done absolutely phenomenal for the first 3 races, and if he can cap it off here with a pole position here at Portimao, it'll be very impressive. He goes across the line. He's already 1/10 off, but that is a purple in the second sector. So it's showing that he's going to improve it even further. And actually, we get to see improvements all around from Letelier. He's now down to 2/10, I think, coming up through the final corner. He's 5/10 off from this lap. So, yeah, he's already invalidated earlier on. But I'm trying to see here from... Here we go. Rivera, the sole Aston Martin here onto the field. Crosses the line. Does it get an improvement? But no, I don't think it actually improved. My bad. And just seeing here with Mascara and Webb. Mascara holding on to... Ooh! And we get to see a spin. And that's a very, very drastic... What was a personal best on the first sector has lost it through the hairpin. It's going to be difficult to see from Mascara if there's going to be any more pace that he can muster. But he's done very good thus far, being 100th faster than Webb in 5th. And looks to be pretty much the best of the rest contenders here for the BMW field. As I just think Mr. Andrew, I believe, must have left the VC, so all the best off to him as he's racing in for the Ferraris in the hypercar class. I think they will very come up soon in just about a few moments. But Ryan Board's seen here with the Italian now. Let's have a look onto the racing perspective. Just gonna see.
I did pop off for a moment. I can leave me alone. Don't you worry.
I thought.
Yeah.
I thought you were gone. My bad. My apologies.
Oh no. We've got time to prep just yet. Let's watch this GT3 first. You know, it's coming on live right now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're seeing a yellow. That's coming from the first sector. It's number 4. That is Webb. And Webb just going into the pits. I think if I'm able to, I might be able to see what happened. I think it's just a bit slowed down, so that's fair enough. But let's see here. Mascara doesn't... oh, Webb did improve, actually. So he's managed to break into the 1 second between himself and now provisional pole sitter Catter. Rivera slowing down. I think he did okay, but he's on 5% now, so he'll have to slowly come into the pits. But he's already slow, so I think he must be going in already. And I think a lot of drivers are
probably lap abandoned.
Yeah, I believe so too. But yeah, it's already been very interesting. Everything has been kicking off here in the GT3 qualifying. There's been a couple of surprises. Schoenfeld seemed to be like struggling very well, almost at the back at one point, but now he's improved up into 7th. We're trying to see if Wirt will come back, but that's still impressive from Schoenfeld himself. And Wheeler, the sole Lamborghini, done pretty good against the BMWs. He's only about 2/10 off from the last BMW in the field, so it's all...
Yeah, I think Pollard certainly, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, but at the same time, he's starting there mid-grid, so still some good points possibly on the table here today.
Yep, I thought I saw Wirt set timings. There he is now, and just joining a bit there. I think that is the Le Mans Ultimate default car. I remember because I saw you driving this. So
that is correct.
Yeah, I was worried about that, and I had to exit the server. But I think it should be fine if if it just continues on to the race. Maybe I could be hyperfering here.
Yes, it will. It should reset itself. Yes.
Okay, good.
So,
Rivera coming up.
I am now going to progress down and do a little bit of preparation and get myself ready. So enjoy qualifying, everyone. And I really hope you enjoy the race as well. We'll try to put on the best show we can for you.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and all the best.
Speak soon.
It's just wording on board here with the hypercars. They're going to slowly come up for their qualifying runs here in the 13 minutes left to go here. And I think that was everyone pretty much done in the GT3's classes as it stands. Cater, with just about a 10th, holds on to pole position from Letelier, and Rivera, very phenomenal for him, completes for the top 3. It's another pole position to add to Cater's books, and Letelier with the 1/10 makes it all the more closer here in Portimao, and it's surely not going to be completely over for Letelier, as it's going to be one of the closest that he's ever been And in a track like Portimao, it can really go in anyone's way, especially in the midst of the race. The time is slowly going to tick down here for the hypercar class. Luis has been pretty strong in the Alpine hypercar, and Wart as well, down just behind in the Ferraris. The Ferraris have been looking to be very strong, very capable throughout the season thus far, and it'll be very interesting to see how well that he can muster in these conditions. Of course, Dal Peterson done pretty good also with second place, so Alpine is really good in terms of showing their paces, rather. Kenzo don't seem to be... Kenzo is here. He won last time back in the previous round, and he's doing okay. I think he's okay. I think he probably would have wished that there would be something more out of the Cadillac that he could muster. And there we go, Andrew Taggart, that was just recently in the booth now, lining up behind his Ferrari teammate of Wart, and also behind him, Nagaris also slots in just behind with 11 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. I believe that they'll be doing it for about 11 minutes or 10 minutes, so do wait for a minute, but it can really go in anyone's way. We've seen with Luis, though, with fourth place finishes consecutively, did not start back in the third round, so he's just been out of the grasp of the podium places, and to do it with maybe a top 3 in the grid would be all the better for Benito as well. The Angolian, I think, would be extremely happy with that. Seeing that with Peterson, Wart, Hager, and Nero's gonna see with Watersbow and Kenzo. They'll be able to come up very soon momentarily. Also looking again on the virtual energy sheet, Luis Peterson, Wart on the 20%, and there is one of the Cadillacs. I believe that's Amar. So Amar also joining in for the back. He's the first Cadillac to exit out for the pits, as it's going to become 30 seconds left until it's 10 minutes left to go, which in my presumption it will be the hypercar class would be setting on for their fast laps now. I think there's another car over down at the back. That was number 7. Yep, that's one of the other Toyota Gazoo Racing, donning the default Le Mans Ultimate car. So I think we'll see those be updated very soon come the race. And here we go, 10 minutes is now underway. Luis is going to kick us off here for the beginning of qualifying. Peterson just down behind, so it's going to be Alpine 1 and 2. They'll have the clean track. It's already been pretty good because the track temperatures have been warmed up from the GT3s, so we're going to expect to see the hypercars make up even faster laps, even more so. And Luis has got his work cut out for him because he's got a lot of clean air in front of him, and cars behind him will suffer. But the good thing is, at least in places like these, a slipstream is where the cars behind him, like Peterson, do benefit. But you need to think about through the second and the third sector, where it's so blinding and also so dirty air heavy that it might actually pay dividends for the Angolian and could actually break into the top 3 place, which he's looking for, because again, he is still eyeing for his first podium after all. Down behind him with Peterson and Wart as well. Wart just applying a bit of pressure to Peterson already here in his outlap, and we can see Peterson and Luis, they exchange places now, so Peterson will be the first to set his lap time. The Denmark driver just looking down through the field, there is Tanger and Nagarus. They still hold on to their position, so championship leader Ryan Wart is still ahead, and Nagarus just going wide through the third sector, just letting people through. A bit of a commotion a little bit between Amar and Hendricks. Just looking over here through Hendrix's time as it stands. I think he is no, he's not a debutant. He has been here for the first since race 2 and race 3, also in a similar situation, 5th and 4th, and now here we go. This is going to be setting their fastest hypercar times as possible. Peterson is going to be the first one off. He's going to navigate down through turn 3. How's it going to muster for the Alpine driver? Gonna looking pretty clean, flat out through turn 4. A lot of downforce is going to help to the momentum of these hypercars, and in fact, such a healthy gap between Peterson and Luis is going to benefit them. And he's already he is already 1,000th faster than Luis from the first sector, and 100th, and that is good news actually for both Alpine drivers, because no one else, as it stands, can seem to even break into the top 20. As I seriously just say that Bao in the Peugeot has done a best first sector, which is quite incredible for the Peugeot driver. He is definitely his debut here for the hypercars. Hasn't attended for the first 3 races, then could make a very surprise debut shock here. Looking through the second sector as it stands, how's it all festering here? Luis edges by about, look at that deficit, it's about 5 thousandths between the Alpine drivers, effectively trading it back and forth. It's going to be very close, they're both similar on pace. This could be able to determine for how it's going to pan out in the race. The Denmark driver round for the final corner. What's his fastest time going to be in his first run? What will be for the Alpine driver? It's going to be a 1:32.7, and how will Luis respond? 4 tenths off, and he lost a lot of that momentum through the final corner. In fact, Wart overtook him, but he can only do a 33.6. So the Alpine driver, as it stands, but look at that performance from Bao. He takes provisional pole of 32.4, 3 tenths faster than Peterson. And look at this, Nigger is just as about edges Peterson to take second place, and about a tenth off from Bao. So extraordinary there from the Peugeot driver already at the beginning of the field to make a statement here, more or less. And I don't think we have seen any Peugeot drivers. Oh no, Sebastian has done. He has not a debutant, my apologies. He has finished 5th back round, but this is extraordinary performance we've seen here from the Jamaican, and he is going to slow it down, so he's going to do another lap under his belt. But I'm gonna see if there's any more people doing green laps. I think that is Peterson doing a green lap. How can he do? Already really strong with his first time. And here we go. Peterson coming out for the final corner. It's going to be his second green flag run. Yep. And here we go. Is it an improvement? It is an improvement here. And that is about a tenth off. And we can see here Wart still not managing to improve, which is still like a bit of a shock to in my personal opinion, because I thought he would have been a bit more here. So let's see here with the car stars here going 5th and 6th gear. But I just want to try and see. Here we go. 4 minutes here left to go in qualifying. See who comes with the highest place Cadillac. Waters, incredible there, 3 tenths faster than Peterson. He actually a tenth off of Bao, and provisional pole looks to be likely for the Toyota driver. That is an incredible lap time from the Canadian. I could not expect it to see it come that quickly. But look at the championship leader though, down in 5th, has got a lot of work to do if it's going to end up this way as it stands. And you can just hear here from all the amount of traffic that the hypercars are pestering more or less each other, fighting for the same amount of track space, navigating through the dirty air. Very, very important. Hendricks is gonna come out 7 tenths off from the leader, so he's gonna go for one of his last few laps as it stands. Andrew Haggard, man that was just in the commentary big very recently, 33.2, and 9 tenths off. Still within last car to be within a second of provisional pole sitter now, Sean Waters in a 32.2. Andrew Haggard crosses the line, not an improvement, 3 seconds slower. And 3 minutes left to go. It's been a very exciting qualifying session thus far, especially one in regards to my motorsport commentating career. The Jamaican navigating for the first sector, trying to keep it nice and tidy. See how he's going to do, shifting up to 3rd, and then just keep it flat out, up to 4th, through to 5th, and again gonna not quite get up to 6. I think it's just about revving it up until 5th before shifting all the way down to 1. Just shows you how technical that hairpin is. And I think we've seen an improvement here from Peterson, and Peterson did improve. Personal improvement for a 32.4, and he's gonna see slows down just a little bit. He was already 3/10 slower than Bao, but let's see here if there's any more improvements that Jamaican can possibly make, and displaces Waters for provisional pole with 120 or so seconds left to go here in the hypercar qualifying. Can really go either way, and Bao a bit too much on the grass, and he'll have to try again. Here we go, he's gonna swing round for the final quarter. Gonna try for one last shot. I think he's, as soon as he goes across the line, he may have a chance for another lap if he dares. And as a result, will be the last car, I think to my knowledge, to set a qualifying up. Neggers would not improve. Hager improves himself up into 6th and manages to climb the deficit that used to be 9/10 up into 7/10. Good from him. Championship leader though, down in 7th, and it's not looking very good for him. With the amount of energy that's left remaining, it's going to be now or never for him, and it goes a bit too wide. A bit of a swiggle. I think that's lost all the momentum, and that's the best he can do. I think 7th is the best that he can do. And he must be wondering where has gone wrong. Although it's not quite over yet, still admits that the mid-pack is going to be still really possible. Can really go in anyone's way here, especially in Portimao, as we've already seen here during qualifying. And Peterson is going to come round through the final corner. He will have another lap under his belt. And gently going across the line, and there he goes, going to start his final flying up. 26 seconds left to go. We're going to see Luis, man that was seemed to be doing so well earlier, down stuck there, but Peterson, the man that he was just almost equally in pace through the first lap, is all the way up in 3rd, and he's languishing over in 9th. So it's not quite yet over for the Angolian. Down behind, Andrew Taggart will also go for his last lap. And qualifying is over and done with. First one to finish with Rassenhauer. Amar. Cadillac, the best that he can do is a 1.6. I think we have seen someone go into the pits. Rassenhauer comes out through the final corner. Is there going to be any more improvements for the Aston Martin driver? A 36.0 is the best that the German can do. And it's into the barrier. The GR driver of Hendricks is navigating through the final sector. What more can he possibly do? The Dutchman seems to be a bit off of the... still about a second off. Was looking to be pretty good here as it stands. As he enters into the pits. I think it was too much of a deficit for himself to climb. But attention now draws back towards the Danish driver of Peterson. He's going to enter into the pits as well. That is off too slow, so he's not going to be able to improve from his lap as it stands. Also Luis, so that's the best that he's got from 9th. That means that as it stands, Bao has got pole position here in Portugal. And an incredible display of 1 lap pace from the Peugeot driver, and just about a 10th off from Waters. It's not an easy feat. In fact, both of them were exchanging pole positions throughout the session, and Peterson at one point almost looked to have it over and done with, but very close indeed from the Jamaican to manage to hold on to that pole. Also Lansango. Waters over in 2nd with Peterson in 3rd. Crunchen in 4th with Nairus in 5th with Taggart in 6th. Wart championship leader. A lot of work for him to do over at 7th, so keep an eye out on him throughout the race. With Hendricks over in 8th, Luis in 9th, Amar in 10th, and Rassenhauer in 11th. Incredible qualifying here that we've seen thus far. And also standing here for the GT3s with Kader taking another pole position into his books with Rivera in second. Letelier in second, my apologies, with Rivera in third. Webb in fourth. Malgara in fifth. Waller in sixth. Wart in seventh. Schoenfield in eighth. And Seidtremer in ninth. A very interesting race we're going to see here among us here. 20 car grid gonna slowly start to make their rolling start here through the seaside of Portimao, and it really is anyone's guess to see who will be able to come out on top. Pole position definitely does not guarantee you here a race win, so Bao indeed and Kader have got a lot of work up in their sleeves if they want to try and hold on to their positions. It's probably going to be one of the more technical and tracks we're going to see here on the calendar for these drivers to muster, but that does not make it any less fun. It is going to be one of the most probably exciting endurance races on the calendar, and we're going to see that upon us. 9 seconds, a short rest before we head over to race, and again, can really go in anyone's favor. And we see drivers slowly starting to line up now. And we see there with Kerr holding up into the lead. The hypercars are slowly going to follow suit. And of course, anyone's favor. Been an interesting season thus far. Already kicked off the season on Monza. And then over into Sakir in Bahrain, and then our first ever, and then back over to the Italian country in Imola. Portimao will host for round 4, after which it's going to be back over to the Sal International Circuit in Qatar in round 5. And again, can really go in anyone's favor. So this 60 minutes are going to slowly start and can really go in anyone's favor. We're going to see everyone maybe look for who is going to come out on top. There's many different strategies here to be made. Here, gonna see maybe 1 stoppers and maybe 2 stoppers. But indeed, Bao, one of a strong qualifying performance that he has done. And he'll be really, really happy with that. And you need to think about what's rushing into all these drivers' heads as the lights, as the flag will slowly drop. And it's going to be fairly late, and we're going to wait for the green flag to drop. And it's going to be coming here through the start-finish line. Can really go in anyone's favor. Who is going to be the round 4 winner? The green lights are out. We're underway, and look at this, a pretty good start from Bubba. Look at this, Crucian goes side by side with Waters. Waters maybe actually losing second place here. As he's going to go down for, no, he's not going to swing right for the outside onto Bao, and that's going to be incredible. And yes, he does. Waters holds on to the lead. Incredible stuff there from the Canadian, and it's an absolute start that Bao did not really expect. Peterson still holds on to third, while Enzo Bin holds on to 4th as it stands. And look at this in the background. The 2 Ferraris are fighting. That's between Tiger and Wart. Wart has got a lot of working up to do. He's actually dropped a position all the way down to 8th. Let's see how the GT3 cars are doing. And we can see here, Carrer still holds on to the lead, followed by Letelier over in second. And we see a battle between Rivera and Webb. I think Webb might actually gain third. Rivera might lose it. To see here coming for the hairpin, a bit of a collision, just a little bit. Oh, Rivera goes a little bit wide, trying to fend off, and look at this, loses a couple of positions in the process. Ooh, and a little bit of a wiggle from Mascara as it tries to apply the pressure, tries to get up into third, fifth, fourth. Brakes hard on the apex, and Rivera swings around and can't really do much there. Mascara, the Italian, crosses up into fourth. Very exciting racing here that we've seen thus far in Portimao as it stands, and still just about under 60 minutes left to go. The countdown begins here. And here we go. Waters did exactly what he needs to do and is now leading the field as it stands, but he's got his work cut out because Bow's right behind him. The man that held pole position just mere minutes ago has lost the lead, so the Canadian needs to do everything he possibly can. As we see someone in the background, that was one of the Cadillacs. And Krishan Blin has lost many positions. Well, he's actually just lost one position, which is not entirely terrible, but that is still a momentum killer for him. But look at this up at the front. This is the position for the lead. Oh, we see Waters going a bit wide, and there we go, side by side between Bow and Waters, and Bow, I think, will just have a bit of enough. Oh no, a bit of a collision. Oh no, and the leaders are taking each other out. And it's heartbreak for Waters, who had a dream start. Ends in heartbreak. And that will allow for the Jamaican of Bao to retake the lead that he lost in the third corner on lap 1. And Negrosser, looking at him, has done very well, placed his car strategically and accurately amidst all the chaos to benefit from this, as he's in second. And we see here with the replay bar looking down for the standings. Gare still holds on to lead. It's up actually almost come down to 3-second gap between himself and Webb. That's incredible. And see there with Webb and Mascar. Just a bit of a gap slowly building up between those two. In fact, Cater is now down to 1 second now between himself and the man in second place. And Rivera dropped down significantly. The man that was in third down to fifth. So now it's a BMW 2, 3, 4 as it stands. 3 and 4 both wearing the same livery of the 46 in honor of Valentino Rossi and the team WRT team. Looking down for the thing here, trying to see from Wart at 7th. Still quite a work to do. And Ryan Wart here has actually done really, really good. Was down to 8th, has now got himself back up into 5th. We're seeing a championship caliber drive from the Englishman here today. The British driver. Apologies. And is now on the back end of the Frenchman of Kenzo. Battle for P4. Bit of a wiggle there from Wart. Is it going to be anything mustering here for the Englishman, British driver? No, not quite. He's still over the back of him. Approaching for the third sector. Going to take a very wide exit, very wide apex. And really can go anyone's way effectively here in this case. Don't see anyone using the pit stops as it stands. But you can see here for the time issues over on the right hand side. This will take into account of people's pace. And Bao, look at that. Really, really strong performance to him. About 1.2 seconds already ahead of Negris in second. And the German driver doing really well, but can't really match for the pace of the Jamaican up ahead. In fact, the best that he can really do is about 7/10 off. And at least he's giving himself a bit of a gap between himself and Peterson. So it's all pretty good as it stands, as we see there with Kenzo going a bit wide, and that'll allow for Wart to take 4th place. So the man that was in 7th down to 8th up into 4th. He's gained 4 positions in the span of 6 minutes. And it looks like it's all coming together here for him. Just see here down the back there, that is Waters, I believe, that is making his scheduled pit stop. No, it's not. It's Westminster. Rissenhauer. And we're going to see here what has happened to Rissenhauer, if possible. He must have like left in a lot early. I think I could just see a retirement there. Oh wow. And that is very dramatic. This is coming for the final quarter. A big tank slapper and hits it. That was very, very sad indeed. Try to see up ahead to see what's happened. There's Waters. And actually Waters is coming to Amart. Let's see here down the back what has been happening. The GT3s are still in the midst of their own fight here, but we're going to see here two Team WRTs closest on track as it stands now. 410s, that would go shrink down a lot more from the deficit because of the slipstream, as we can see. But still holding on to the lead very comfortably, Bao. He's going to aim for his first win of the season, and the way that it looks like, given his pace, it might be that way as it stands. But the man that doesn't seem to be giving up for his win streak, Catter, really, really strong thus far. And it's going to be a 3-car train here for P3. It's what Webb needs to do to try to fend off as he looks go for the hairpin on turn 5, I believe. The Englishman doing pretty well as it stands. Of course, the track, created in 2011, notorious for its elevation, makes it all the more difficult for the man behind to make an overtake and try to make it stick. Traffic definitely going to be playing a part here throughout this race, and you can see that Webb now under immense pressure from the man that dons the same paint scheme as him right behind. In fact, a bit of contact, I believe, from behind, if I'm not mistaken. And I think we're seeing here the Iron Dames Lamborghini of Wooler, their first driver out on track during qualifying, coming under pressure from the Porsche behind that drives the monthly Porsche 911 GT3. Lexus definitely seems to be like the car to beat, and you can see here Wooler a bit of track extending. Very hard to hold it in through the final corner, especially with the dirty air that's being produced by these GT3 cars. Makes it really difficult to see if you can keep a hold on track, especially coming through turn 1 as well, which masks a different challenge altogether. And both of these drivers are good, but you can see there with Wart hogging a bit too much on the curb. And look at this, Rivera going to be able to try apply pressure on a Mascara coming out from turn 4. And we're going to see any positions being made. Mascara responds, goes defensive. Rivera dummies him, swings around for the outside, but it's a bit too deep. And the Puerto Rican has to slay behind. And in the background, Wooler still holds on from Wart as it stands. You can see there Sentley as well, trying to pressure onto Schoenfeld, and nothing yet out there. Still road retirement thus far. It's been still quite unfortunate. Andrew Taggart hands on to lead, and we got someone off in the background. That was Peterson. Oh wow, he spun round coming through turn 4 under immense pressure. Ooh, and that was Court behind, so this was for P3. And yeah, rejoins fine. And lost a lot of positions in the process. But Taggart up to 4th, so it's a Ferrari 1, 2, 3. That's Hendricks going a bit wide. Again, the law of dirty air through the second sector, approaching for the 3rd now. Mustard from the hypercar cars. Hendricks needs to apply more steering angle in order to try to keep it on track. But let's see if there's more that the Toyota can do. Sound pretty good thus far. 6th in regards to his starting position of 9th. Waters has managed to break ground. Actually, we're seeing Cruchon. Cruchon's retired. I think this was a couple of laps back, I believe. Yeah, this is coming through the final corner. And we're going to see on board to see what happened. Right on board with him now. Coming for turn 1. Need to be very careful on the brake. No. And a tag slapper once again. That took out Rassenhauer. Has taken him out. And actually, I think we've seen Andrew Taggart go off somewhere. He was ahead just a bit, so I'm already surprised by just how much we're seeing drivers struggle. One of the best position movers on the field. And the Irishman can't seem to... Oh no, he's into the pits. He's into the pits for a scheduled stop, so that's my fault. My apologies. I think that's definitely one of the first scheduled pit stops that we're going to see here today. And looking here for the tire compounds, in fact, only 2 drivers are elected for a soft compound onto the front left of Luis and Peterson. So the good thing with Andrew is that he comes up now in relatively clean air. And it's his race to lose in regards to his strategy. Gonna eye for some positions, maybe. Oh! Nero's gone a bit too deep as when trying to overtake the GT3 cars, and that's going to heavily compromise his challenge up ahead of Bao. And Bao's been doing really impressive throughout this entire race. Very hard to see if any man can really challenge him. Already 3 seconds splits between Bao and Neris. And Ward behind. Again, a Ferrari 2-3. And you can see here, I think that's a fight up ahead. We're just seeing. I thought, yeah. I'm just trying to see where that fight was. There's the car behind, and we've seen some overtakes. Natalia just overtook Castor. That's what happened. And a new leader in the Frenchman, which is pretty interesting because Carol looked like it was effectively his race to lose, and he seems to have lost the lead. He actually Catter lost it a lot. He lost a lot. This was already many laps back. I think this was the midst of trying to find the retirement. Oh, holds on to the inside line. Swings it. And slipstream. It's a slipstream able for the Tellier's advantage. And Caster defends. And the Tellier dummies him. Holds on to the inside line. There's not much Caster can do. Yeah, too much. I've been thinking about too much curbing on the exit. And brilliant move from the Frenchman to take onto the lead. So he's still got to be applying pressure from Catter behind and looking out throughout the field. It's starting to space out now for the GT3s, which is honestly very good news for the hypercars, but not for the cars here. As you can see, Luis is now going to be under pressure from, I think that's Hendricks. Yes, it is Hendricks. And Caster has to know this is on the way. Hendricks is able to benefit from this, though. Looking down for turn 1. Is he going to make the move up to 4th? He does make the move up into 4th, and it's still going to be going side by side. Luis tries to look down for the inside, and this is how the GT3s can benefit or be a disadvantage for some hypercars, as Letelier goes a bit wide, but Carter, having been amidst of that fight, cannot be able to pay off. And Letelier fends off from Hendricks now, and gets squeezed a bit between the GT3s. A little bit of contact, but no damage has been made much there. And Hendricks. Amar is also going to come in for his scheduled pit stop. And you can see there with Waters trying to make a move onto the Norwegian of the Manthey Porsche. Ooh, goodness me, Hendricks so close, right to the behind of Luis. I think had to take kind of evasive action to avoid hitting the Angolian. And now through the final corner, these two go. Luis and Hendricks, closest fight on the hypercar class thus far. Between the Alpines and the Toyota. Toyota started down in 9th, all the way up into 5th. Could make it 4th if he wants. And seeing there with Luis also struggling. They both have been battling constantly, thus in center. Luis again, the only one of the few with the soft tire, along with Alpine car mate of Peterson, and Hendricks on a complete medium compound. So we're going to see a bit of the differences here come into play. So that means that Luis will have to be a lot more careful in some corners than Hendricks can. But it also means that the more that they continue to fight, the more that their strategy is somewhat compromised by drivers like Tagar and Amar, which both have made their scheduled pit stops. And it's just effectively racing their own race. These two are racing each other's races. And it could be a bit of a disadvantage if things don't work out for them. Oh, you can see there, a little bit under pressure from the Dutchman. Any more that Hendricks can muster, going for the 3rd sector. Very technical, just needs to hold it in. Luis does react, but not too much. And he's going to do some pretty good defensive driving as it stands. Yes, he does. He does. And that is a very good racing we're seeing here thus far between the two hypercar leaders. Coming up for the final corner, it's going to be Hendricks' advantage to use a bit of the slipstream. Is he going to make a move down for turn 1? It's going to be fast. It's going to be a little bit scary if it goes side by side. He does look for going side by side. Oh, and he's broke too late. He broke way too late. And he misses out just a bit. What used to be a 2/10 gap now is promoted in Lewis's favor to a 10th. And Hendricks will have to catch up once again. Seeing here from the gap between Neris and Bal, it's now maintained at 3 seconds. So the Peugeot driver's pace is slowly starting to even out. And down there before, warped 9 seconds as well. Still no retirements thus far. See there with McGarrett, Sabena fending off from Taggart. Taggart may not really want that because he's trying to use his optimal compound to the best of his ability. Already very technical thus far. 20 minutes have just passed here at Portimao. And gonna slowly return back to the Asian continent in Qatar in the Tier 1 Racing Series next time around on Saturday. As we see with Andrew Taggart navigating through the field up into 8th he is. Waters has done pretty well to recover the race that he effectively lost the calamity at turn 1 between himself and Mao. It worked out in Wales' favour, but not so much into Waters, and must be thinking of challenging for wins. But given the pace that we've seen during qualifying from the Canadian, it will sure good bound to go his way, maybe later this season, but I don't think today is his day. And rescuing is much the best that the Toyota driver can do. Looking at the back here, we can see, I think that might have been... Yeah, Kader's still not being able to apply the pressure to Letelier, and he's already won the first 3 races in a row, but this seems to be an opportunity for the BMW driver to pick up the first win of the season under his books. And yeah, it's already been a very interesting race thus far, especially the battle that we see between the Frenchman and the British driver. And Webb is still coming under pressure from Rivera. Mascara was at one point up in the top 3, and he's now dropped significantly down to 6th. And see here down through the hairpin, Webb a bit sideways. Rivera had to take evasive action, and Webb still holds on to 3rd. Very, very close there. Could have almost ended in tears for both drivers if a crash were to happen, but the Puerto Rican saw ahead, took evasive action, and yeah, that was good situational awareness, I must say, from the Puerto Rican to do that. Again, Alexis Letelier, this is his debut in the series, in Tier 1. Already proved up to 8 seconds. I'm curious if something must have happened between them, because we were seeing him so far up ahead. Nah, I think Kader was fine. I think it might be a time issue. But let's see here through the field as it still stands. Here we go. Pierce is going to make his scheduled pit stop. Into the pits he goes. Still opting for the same tire that he has done to start the race with. And you're going to see a lot of cars eventually come into the pits as it stands. Tiger, having pitted earlier, the undercar has kind of worked for him a bit in his favor, but now he's got to defend from the cars which have yet to pit. Oh! And Waters! Oh no, Waters! That's damage! And that's a weird incident for the Canadian. Goes from bad to worse. All the way. It's very hard. I just want to see if there's any damage affected onto his steering. There's no damage affected to his steering, so it looks to be fine. But still, it's hectic. And really weird. It's not quite out of the way for Canadian, but looking here between the gap between Bauer and Naris, it's gained about a second. And Rivera, once again, fighting. I think that is Ammar. Ammar has retired. This was quite a long ago, I believe. Oh, wow. So here we go. Belgian driver has been has done quite good actually thus far, and has a spin through turn 4. Ooh, and I think that's a connection drop from the Belgium, and I think we've just seen yep, apologies. Yep, good. Oh, Waters retired. Okay, Waters has retired. I want to see if there's been another incident that's happened later on. And here we go. Enter into the pits. I think it's a retirement. Yep. It's a retirement for the Canadian. And now attention to live. Already the race has been very, very dramatic thus far. Claimed 4 hypercars. Started with 11, now down to 7. And can really go in anyone's favor in this case. And look at this. Hendricks and Lewis still on the back of each other. On that position for the prized 4th. Oh, see the back there. That's a fight between the Lamborghini and the Matherly Porsche. They're fighting for 5th, I believe. And Peterson, actually, I've realized the warning. It's a stop and go. I think that's for speeding in the pit lane. And that's super unfortunate for Peterson. The man that looked like that he was hard to beat for the podium. It ends in tatters for the Danish driver. As it has to be very, very quick. 5 seconds stop and go. And Reed joins out. Not sure if it was either speeding or if it was on track action. And he's gonna slowly exit out from the pits. Up in 2nd. Ooh, and nearly takes a voice action. Rivera has to go wide, and he just about holds on to 3rd himself from Webb. It's just still an exciting race we've seen thus far. And Sean looking on board here. Oh, it's 2 battles effectively colliding with one another, as Wart having to be navigated by both Luis and Hendricks, and Mascara and Wart gonna join in for their own fight. So that means that we're gonna slowly see these 2 battles collide. So these 2 drivers really can't get enough of each other, both fighting for top 5 place. And Hendricks goes wide through Webb once again, and it's Lewis that has to follow. Oh my goodness me, that is so close. Again, does show how big traffic plays in endurance racing, especially in Portimao. And we're about halfway through. 30 minutes left to go here in the Le Mans series here at the Phoenix Sim Sport Tier 1's Championship. And here we go. Schedule pit stop here for Catter in. L'Italia now is going to pit very soon, I reckon, on the 40%, same percentage as him. Also along with Wart in addition. Of course, pit stops are mandatory here in the series, so I think everyone will surely have to do it one scheduled stop. Gap between Bar and Negros is still just coming over to 6 seconds. So really, it's a good thing for them to make it done. On average, he's done a 33.9, and his race rival just behind 34.2. And now he's just improved that to 33.8 as soon as I said that. So already pulling in the big guns. And honestly, it's quite impressive to see how well that bug managed in these conditions here. Almost looked like it wasn't impossible to lead in this fashion at here at Portimao, and he seems to be eating my words here as it stands. And it's been quite incredible thus far to watch a man of his talents navigate through this incredible track, I must say. See, we kind of exit the pits in 8th, so everyone will soon have to follow. Of course, we've seen with the GT3 cars, can take a lot more of longer stints than the hypercars can. So theoretically, they could almost do the entire round if they wish. And the hypercars, 45 at best. Another green flag pit stop. So we're going to see from Karu's progress how far ahead he'll be. He exits up for the final corner. That would have been a leader on leader exchange if Karu was leading up until the green pit stops. Oh, and Ward also in. And they're both gonna exit out fine, I believe. Surely. Wart jumps Mascara. So these two are gonna be able to fight up once again. Oh, Wart almost tailed into Wart's fight with Mascara almost there, coming for turn 1. He'll be pretty relieved to escape through turn 1 as it stands. And now these two can get back to fight again. So amongst these two, it's still anyone's guess as to see who will come out up on top between these two dueling. And it's the same case here between Webb and Rivera. Still 4/10, barely splitting between these two drivers. Done very, very strong all race round. With about 34 minutes already passed, 26 minutes left to go. Again, anyone's guess to see who's going to come out on top here. Still no retirements thus far after three laps or so. Warren's latest retirement. No retirements yet on the GT3 class, which is quite impressive. Especially with how hard I feel. Both of them are notoriously hard to drive. But I feel like with the GT3s, just requires that, with how heavy it is and how hard it is to be that nimble, and with a track that requires such lightweightness to really conquer this track, I've honestly expected a lot more people to be struggling with the GT3s, but we haven't really seen anyone really struggling in those cars. In fact, we've seen more people struggle in the hypercars than we had in the GT3s. And it's quite interesting to think about, honestly. I think we're seeing there with Louise and Hendricks is now broken up to three seconds. I think they were fighting at one point, so I just want to see if it was anything that has happened. It's a bit of a time ago. I think it's just a simple gallop, I believe. Yeah, I think it must be a simple gap thing. But it's still 3 seconds, so Hendricks finally, after many laps of battling with Luis, finally manages to bridge a gap between himself and the car behind. And well, I mean, I must say, in great great fighting between these two, I would say. As you can see here, slowly make an overtake onto Mascara, coming there, and easy as it does from the Angolian. And just breaking off the fight between Wart and Scar for P7, I believe. Yep, I am right. Quick overtake. Easy as you like. Yep. And slowly starting to pace out here at Portimao as it stands. But I think that means that we're going to see some racing come back in intense action thus far. Championship leader in War almost looked like it was hardly a possibility for himself to be even in contention for the podium after the qualifying run that he's had. And again, really does think about championship caliber drivers is that whenever you doubt them, they do give it their all. And he's really has been proving that here of his worth today. And really strong here from the British driver. Still can't match the pace up to drivers up ahead. He's doing an average of 33.4, while as cars up ahead it's a 33.9. So do keep an eye out between Wart's charge up the field against Iris and Mao for them. But you know, it seems to be doing fine overall. You can see there a bit of the scratches coming out from the floor. Wooler yet to make his scheduled green pit stop. And slowly coming down to 38 minutes left to go. 38 minutes past, 21 minutes, 22 minutes left to go. Again, even though it seems to be that easy for Mao and for the Williams, it can really go in anyone's favor. And again, joys are between Leteliers and racing is that it can really go in anyone's favor. We have our first GT3 retirement in Schofield, and I'm gonna see what has happened to him. Oh. This is from the third sector from the AMG driver. So again, just hard on the brakes. And then an easy accelerate. Yep, that's fine. Ooh, okay. Let's keep a track here. Yeah, too early on the accelerator, and yeah. Did you manage to get going? Didn't manage to get going again. Ooh. Just, yeah, very careful on the grass, to be careful. Made his scheduled pit stop, so he didn't retire then. Coming for turn 1, 2, 3, up through 4, seems to be fine. This was like 2 laps ago, so this is... Gonna try and see here. What's happened here? Can't seem to figure out his retirement, but it is. I'm not quite sure what the retirement is, but regardless of it, it's the first ever GT3 retirement that we have here at Portimao thus far. Well, 40 minutes under GT3s, all GT3s running. It has been fairly impressive, I must say. Gonna see here with how everyone else does. Oh. See, there was Pearson having had to do his stop and go. Applies the pressure onto Rivera. Rivera goes wide. But Webb can't do much to shake him off. Or put him off, if I say so. Of course, the BMW driver done very good all time round. Wooler making his scheduled pit stop, and Carter promotes himself up into 5th. Still, cars up ahead yet to make their scheduled pit stops, with about 17 minutes left on the clock and 30 seconds. And you can see they're looking around for the outside. It's not there. It's not there, but the British driver is trying to make something out of here. Is he going to do anything here for the 3rd sector? As Rivera does really well to defend. But look at this. He's still going to make a move. Gives him a bit of a nudge to head on for the inside line. Is he going to swing for the outside line here, coming for the next corner? He tries to. He really does try to. But Rivera senses it and holds on to the apex. Great defending there from Rivera. Up from the final corner, a lot of dirty air being produced, and all Webb can do is just nurse it and just do best and effectively go again. Great racing that we're seeing here in the GT3 classes. Absolutely phenomenal. Definitely Phoenix Sim Sports on its best. Navigate for turn 1. And hard braking zone for turn 2! Goodness me, Webb is extremely close behind Rivera. I think that has compromised his exit through 3 and 4. Because you can see with Rivera having broken a bit early, got a better apex. And it's evident here on the exit of 4. Braking very hard for the VIP hairpin. And pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, he's going to swing for the inside line, up, out. And there's going to be our braking zone here, coming through the double apex of 10-11, the Portimao corner. Exits out, need to be early on the throttle, swing around through 12, goes uphill again. Another brake hard for 13. Not as tight as the one that we've seen through 5, but quite close enough. Very long apex through 14. Yeah, you see just how close that Webb is behind. And again, 15 of Galp. And that's where that plein air really pays into the Puerto Ricans' favors. And there's nothing much the British driver can do about it. So Glory, you can see, is so surely much more superior through the first sector than Rivera is. Has to be due with how the cars are probably set up, in my opinion. Almost looks down for the turn 1. Almost thinks of it. Just off the racing line to maybe apply some pressure. Down through 3 again. This is where the British driver was too deep and couldn't muster anything of it. He's a lot cleaner this time. And as you can see on board, he's now much more closer on the exit through 4. Agris, this man in second place, passes through and braking hard through 5. And no moves yet out. Swing through 6 and then down from 7 and then coming up through 8. I think we've seen this is where the calamity between the two leaders happened a mere 40 minutes ago. Exits out through Samsung and then downhill 9 flat out through Craig Jones and continuing on to break through, and then once again 10 and 11 of Portimao, double Apex, just hold it in as steady as you possibly can. Really giving it their all. They're really giving it their all. And they still have yet to make their pit stops as well, which hopefully these two are keeping track of. So it's interesting to see whether, if not, all this fighting has either benefited or have not benefited their respective strategies. So we've seen out here from 2014, White Apex for Webb and for Rivera. Just see how he nests the throttle to hold in. He's hugging into the apex line. He's going to go in for a scheduled pit stop. Rivera stays out, so he's going to break into the 10s as well as Letelier. And he enters into the pits. But let's see here. A 46.9 from Letelier has been extraordinarily strong all year round. All race round, my apologies. But look for Cater though. He's done 45.8. And it could pay in well for his favor. He's done about a second quicker than what Letelier has done. And don't forget about the pit delta time. So we're going to see him make his scheduled pit stop fairly soon. So this could potentially be how the GT3 class race is won. Webb is going to exit from the pits. I think just about ahead of Wart and Mascara, which is all good news for the British driver to have not been fed into their fight for P6 as it stands. But looking out for Ria Letelier, no quite moves yet. Hendricks has retired. Hendricks has retired. Oh, I think that's his front rear wing. I think might have been gone. I'm not quite sure. But let's see here. Oh wow. I think it was a simple lockup, I believe. This is coming through 6, 7, and 8. Just behind Taggart for 4th. Oh. Oh, connection issue. Connection issue for Hendricks. And devastating news from the Toyota team. Hendricks done really well thus far. Miles still has yet to make his scheduled pit stop. But probably if he had it his way, probably wouldn't need a pit stop. But with about under 10 minutes left to go, I think he'd probably need to. 36 seconds with Tito Savanegros, and Taggart's strategy paid off a little bit. Luis will be on a bit of fresher stars, I believe, than Taggart is, although the virtual energy would indicate otherwise. It's about a 5% deficit between Taggart and Luis, as Luis goes a little bit sideways on the exit. And looking here, so Peterson still holds on to there. Right in here with Letelier, Schoenfeld still in retirement we have thus far. And I think Letelier will have to make his scheduled pit stop thus far as he navigates through the final quarter. 74% on virtual energy. Somewhere behind, also yet to pit. Unless he's already done his scheduled pit stop. He's only got 9% of fuel left, so I will assume he hasn't. But let's see here with Statmar also is waiting for his scheduled stop as well. Whereas I think Qatar looking to go to the end on his time. 40 seconds the gap is between, and Letelier has been putting the foot down. But I don't think there's much that the BMW driver can muster. It is still 8 tenths away. His tires are so much worn than the Lexus driver behind. And the Lexus driver has got 8 fuels in the tank compared to Letelier's effectively 0. Just looking out here for the rest of the field to see how the race is progressing. Sometimes makes a scheduled pit stop. So he's manned over down the back. I think he might be fighting for... I think that was another GT3 I saw going to the pits.
Look, I could be wrong. How will it come out for him? Ah, safety car. My bad. But he will come out, I believe, dead last, I think. Ward managed to pass Wooler. Actually, he'll just come out ahead of these two. So he's done pretty well, I must say, the Porsche driver. But will be the leading Porsche from strategy as he's going to come out. Just see here with 8 minutes left to go. Italier still has yet to... Yeah, he's going to come into the pits now. And there we go. Both class leaders into the pits. So who's going to be the one out on top? 63 seconds out between these two. Letelier is going to come out now. How's the deficit between himself and Carr going to be? Carr has done everything that he possibly can in terms of his early pit stop. He's going to exit for the straight, but it's not going to be enough. And here's Letelier exit the pits, and you can see now there's Carr. Bao, I think, will just about head off ahead. I think he does. Ooh, fends off, gets a bit of a squeeze. I think it might have been Peterson. It is Peterson. The man's a lap behind, trying to look to unlap himself. Very, very close to doing that. Been on a pretty good lap in order to try to achieve that, but deficit, I think, was a bit too big for Peterson to be able to handle. Ball made his scheduled pit stop, so that means that he's going to see them definitely to the end now on the 6th lap field that he has. 12 seconds is the break between himself and Negris over in second as he navigates past Catter. Closest leader about now on track between those two. Looking down for the back there. Peterson makes a quick and easy move onto him. And here we go. The two class leaders now officially, as it stands with 6 minutes left to go, going to be fighting amongst these two. And through to the inside of Bao goes, and we see that was a move. Peterson tries to look through, and he still hasn't quite made the move onto Letelier, but he will now through the final quarter. Hasn't cost Letelier any problems. I mean, the thing about Letelier is that he's got a better soft compound, so he'll be able to use it more to his advantage. So we'll keep that in mind. But let's see here, 55.7, 56.2 from Catter. As there's a spider in my room. And just I'll get back here onto the field now. 1.2 seconds now between Cara and Letelier. Letelier has been trying his best to bridge a gap between himself and Cara. It hasn't quite worked out yet. It's about 1/10 the championship leader on through the first sector, then the Frenchman on his debutant. Although it has been the closest, I think, in recent knowledge that Cara has been pressured in such a situation on racing conditions to retain his winning streak if it still arises. Although it's a bit pushing a bit now. It's now down to 2/10 through the second sector, really showing that the fresher compound putting more to Letelier's favor than it is into Cara's. Despite on I think they're both slowly on the same fuel load. In fact, Cara's got more fuel load to play with than Letelier has, so could play a massive advantage for Qatar, the British driver, if he ever so wishes to in the end. Kira and Webb, it looks to be Rivera's favor in that intense bout that we've seen all race long, and Webb has got no choice to maybe pick up the pieces from whatever can lie on the Aston Martin, although I'm pretty sure we'll probably see one last attempt from Webb to try and reclaim that final podium spot. Incredible battle that we've seen here all time round, and this is going to be the battle for penultimate place here in the GT3 class. The two Porsches are going to be going wheel to wheel here in this case. Satmar has been very good on strategy to hold on to sixth, but it's just got a bit of fighting to do on track to hold on to that place. Satmar has about 0.2 laps of fuel less than the car behind of Wart. And looking down here for the start finish straight, it'll come into Wart's favor. Trying to weave in and out, maybe apply pressure, and it's not quite worked for the Norwegian. The Norwegian still holds his cool and holds on to sixth as it stands. It is still the closest, one of the closest battles that we have now on track thus far. And with about less than 3 minutes left to go, it's really anyone's guess as to see who will come out on top. Gonna be for the hairpin onto turn 5. Is he going to make the move? He's going to make the move. He's going to make the move. This is going to be maybe the one last overtake we're going to see here on the race thus far. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be clean? It is a bit sideways, actually, from Wart. This is going to be for P6. And who's going to become the highest placed Porsche driver here? Going for his turn 6, 3 to 7. And they're going to be heartbreakers in for 8. Is it any more that the Norwegian can muster? Does try to look for it, but Wart still does not give in. A little bit of sideways there from him, but he still maintains his cool. And a great overtake through 5 might be the last overtake that we see here on track. And an incredible battle between these two to cultivate what has been a fantastic GT3 race in Tier 1. With a lot of overtakes and a lot of aggression and a lot of pressure. Satmar is definitely not going to give out. Well, I think Wart might have a bit of better pace. He does have much better pace. 42.5 compared to 47.1, and Satmar did give him a run as his money. And Wart's now going to be able to try and put his foot down and trying to bridge up that deficit. And with the dirty air coming for the final corner, there's not much the Norwegian can do to challenge. Edging out towards the front, I think we're seeing Webb and Rivera maybe fight one last time, but with 60 seconds left to go, there isn't going to be much of hope to see if Rivera can do it. Rivera's got a lot of pressuring to do here. And both of them have been really strong all time round. We almost thought that the BMWs sealed in the bag whenever it was BMW 2, 3, 4 with Letelier, Webb, and I think I've just seen Catter takes the lead. Catter takes the lead in the dying seconds. I've wondered what's happened here. It's very impressive for the closing stages, but I'm not quite sure what's happened here. Oh no, Le Money had spun. The Tellier has spun in dramatic sequences, and he has retaken the class lead from that mistake. And it's heartbreak for what would have been a dream debut for the Frenchman, who has led effectively from strategy and from great pace. It doesn't go his way. I think we're going to come up for the final corner now. An absolute great display from the Jamaican. It's going to be his first win this season as he wins in Portimao. A fantastic Peugeot win here in the hypercar class. And a different winner here in the championship thus far. Nyris will go home in second, with Wart in third, and then Tiger will make it a Ferrari 2, 3, 4, with Luis in fifth, and Peterson will presumably be in sixth with a 1 lap down. Yeah, he's been 1 lap down, so he's effectively been lapped. Carrot exited through the final corner. Almost looked like he was never going to seal it, and paid to his advantage. Gonna come home through the final corner. A really strong qualifying performance for him. A really strong first half lap pace for him. And an early pit stop. Almost looked like it wasn't going to be his way. But he will do it once again, and he will make it 4 race wins in a row here at Portimao. And despite what could have been for Letelier, still a very, very strong debut and a sign of what could be more for the Frenchman to give Qatar more runs for his money. And it's going to make the GT3 class upcoming very spectacular. Of course, Rivera coming through to just about fender from Webb to seal a fantastic podium drive from the Aston Martin. And Webb, almost to be a BMW dominance, almost looked like the Trex was in favour, but wasn't really quite his day. But still, a really, really good attempt overall from the British driver over in 4th. What an incredible race, I must say, here at the Le Mans series here for Phoenix Simsport. Fantastic from all the drivers all around. Only had so many amount of retirements. I believe it was only 6 that has come through at the end. Oh well, have a look here through the final standings here from this hour-long race that we had here. Sebastian Bao, in the Jamaican driver, gets a first win here on the season, and fantastic performance him from for the French team overall in Peugeot, with Leon Negras in second. Really strong from the Belgium to from the German to cement into second place. Ryan Wart, championship contender or leader leading up to this, done really good from the position that he was in to finalize up into 3rd place, and it was really the best that he can do given the situations around him. With Andrew Taggart, also really impressive for him over his early pit stop over in 4th. Strong paces from the Alpine drivers in 5th and 6th. The best that they can do, the best that they could really do, will look to be almost to be a top 3, is only 5th for Ben and Luis and 6th for Ken Dahl Peterson, who had to suffer from a 5-second stop and go halfway through the race. Brandley Catter is the one that takes 4 race wins in a row for his class in his Lexus car, with Alexis Letelier in 2nd place in the GT3 class, and then Kelvin Rivera, really strong from him to cop off to his great performance with Matt Webb all race long, and a fantastic battle here. He'll be very happy to seal a 3rd place in the GT3 class. Matt Webb in 4th for him, almost looked to be very strong, but he's done very good with his battle with Rivera. And Giovanni Mascarara in 5th for the Italian, with Ben Wart in 6th, just about overtook Adnan Satormar in 7th. And then Florian Wurler is the last of the finishers in the GT3 class, with retirement speed Lorenzo Hendricks, Sebastian Schoenfield, Sebastian Waters, Amaury Amar, Kenzo Kruschenblin, and Marvin Rosenhauer. That's the concludes.
Hello.
That concludes for the 4th round here of the Le Mans series, and just joining me alongside is Andrew Taggart, who's finished over in 4th. Welcome back to the commentary booth.
Hello. Would you like to do interviews?
My voice is giving up halfway through. I can do interviews.
Okay. Well then, I will move my teammate in here. I'm going to be very selfish, and it's going to be just us in the interview, unless someone else does. I don't think anyone else is going to volunteer, but yeah, I think it's going to be Miglior Pilota in the interview room today. So,
Hello. So
Great job.
So just to cultivate from what we've seen over in qualifying compared to the race, it was fairly hectic. It was probably one of the most hectic starts that I've seen, especially when we've seen race contender from Sebastian Waters also dropping out. But sorry, what's your name again? I almost forgot. Ryan, yeah, you were all the way down in 9th, and you managed to, within the start, improve yourself up into 4th in the span of 10 minutes. I'm extraordinarily impressed, given, of course, you're the championship leader, but how did you even manage to pull that off, given the circumstances?
Yeah, qualifying was pretty difficult. I was like 7/10 slower in qualifying compared to practice. Just didn't get a good lap together, which put me in a difficult place for the race. But no, was just patient, got overtaken at start, by the Toyota, and then but got him back on midway round lap 1, and then just waited for the carnage to happen really. And then obviously when that crash happened, people were everywhere, and I managed to get past Mav just afterwards, and yeah, it was able just to push really comfortably. And then Kenzo, a good move on Kenzo. Obviously, he had a difficult race, and then Kenneth spun just in front of me. So it was just not making mistakes today was the key. Today it's a difficult track, Portimao, and it's just a difficult track, and it's easy to make mistakes here. And our competitors did, and we didn't.
Andrew, you were one of the first of the people to pit in your hypercar class. We don't really see that often paying off, but it ended up working pretty well for you. In fact, you managed to continue on from the pace, and you actually gained some positions heading from that early pit stop in your pace. So I'm curious, was that always been the plan heading into this race, to try and pit as early as you can, especially on a difficult track like Portimao?
Yeah, it was a bit of a late call. Definitely we've worked out that that's something, it's a bit of a tool in our back pocket that we can use kind of as we are coming up to the GT3 traffic box early. Then you avoid one loop of lapping the GT3s while you get to drive absolute flat out in clean air. It paid off. I was doing absolute flying laps, clean air, catching back up, getting in the pit window of other drivers, and whenever they were coming out of the pits, they were right there, and I was able to take it to them. And although a few wobbly laps let Benito back past the game, but a bit of a late dive. I have to maybe apologize to Lewis there. I don't know if that was fair or not. So I think that may very well end up in the steward's room, but. I have to say, Lewis is an absolute pleasure to battle, and he always races very hard but very fair. So I really, really enjoyed that race, and great points for the team. A P3, a P4, and great points for the constructors as well, a 2-3-4 for Ferrari. So yeah, great result today. Really, really happy with that.
Of course. Question for you both, though. Ryan, you continue on from your podium streak, starting all the way back in round 1. Of course, with it being third, you still hold onto the podium streak, kept alive. And Andrew, you yourself, a best result in fourth, I believe, that you mentioned before. So it's very strong from the team around as well. Next up, the race comes over at Qatar, a very difficult track compared to Portimao, different track. In fact, it's been relatively flat and quite similar to what we've seen back over in Bahrain. So I'm curious for your preparations coming for next week.
Yeah, a lot of practice.
Yeah. You're pretty much. I think
we didn't
that's
practice as a team at any point this week, so we've kind of just done what we did last season, was wing it. But we've managed to actually achieve something this season by winging it. So it's all good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we need to get some laps in. Yeah.
Thank you so much, you two. I'm very happy for you guys to have completed a very strong performance as you guys did, and look forward to seeing you here next week.
Yeah, awesome. Look forward to it.
I think that might be everyone for interviews, unless if anyone else wants to join along.
Yes. That is it today.
Yes. And that's where it concludes for the coverage of the Le Mans Series Tier 1 here at Phoenix Simsport. An absolutely extravagant and very exciting race here at Portimao upon our return to the European continent. We'll be joined back over here next week. Come same time, same place over at Saturday as we return to the Middle Eastern continent as we race over in Qatar. The same format as usual, 25 minutes of qualifying and followed by another hour of very exciting racing here between the hypercars and the GT3s. It's been the closest it's ever been. We look forward to see you here. But until then, see you next time.